Kia ora and hello, and this is Kitty Fitton and we are presenting Ordinary Life on Coast Access Radio 104.7 FM. We thought that, well, I figured that, the last few weeks have been great, except they've also not been great, and I've been pretty stressed and trying to work out what this should be about and how we should do things. And I realised that most people come and ask me questions because I have Parkinson's, which is not very fun or not very, not the most amazing thing to be known for. However, there it is. So I asked the lovely Emma if she would come and talk to me, and perhaps we should investigate what's going on in the Parkinson's community, the Parkinson's world, and try and put a bit of a, Kitty and Emma touch. What do you say, Emma?
Sounds like a plan. Although admittedly, I have been disconnected from the Parkinson's community lately because I stopped doing social media for a while and have been enjoying it.
Well, me too, to be honest, and that's because of work and stuff. And I often find, I've been working full time. I've been trying to exercise. I've been trying to pack everything in, and I've sadly realised that the mind is willing, but the body, unfortunately, is not. And something's had to give, and I'm going to be changing my career soon. Just because I couldn't carry on with it. It's just quite sobering, really, eh?
It is a really, really hard place to be, and I've been there because I've just ended a long period of time of not working. I've just started a new job, as you know, Kitty. But for the longest time, I started that time off thinking it was just going to be a short break to work on my health. Doing quote marks in the air.
Always good for radio.
It turned into a long time off, and I started to believe I couldn't work, that I shouldn't work, that work was, too hard. And it was quite a big effort to get back into a job. And now that I'm there, I'm happy. It's going well, but as you say, there's a lot we have to juggle, and we've both got. I've got 3 kids. You've got 4 kids. It's a lot of work, the family stuff, and then there's the earnings stuff, and then there's the you stuff, keeping me on good footing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I have to fit in the exercise. I have to eat right well, and it sounds like I'm going, complaining, but it is hard.
There was a thing in the paper today. I say the paper, on the internet. I was reading the news this morning, and it was saying about in Iceland, women have just had a strike because they talk about not only the amount of work that they have to do, but the emotional work, I think they call it. And I'm not saying men don't have to do this too, because obviously men, we love you. You also work hard, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, we are women, and that's my point of view, and it's really, really tough doing like parenting and full-time work and having a chronic illness, especially a chronic illness that people don't generally associate with women.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
and it really highlights the support you need, doesn't it? Like that need to have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And which is why I had reached out. When I was active in social media, that was what I was getting from it. Like
Yeah, and I need to get back into that. I've
camaraderie.
not done a lot of stuff recently, and I really, really want to. That's something else that's suffered. And a friend of mine reached out this week, which is something I want to talk about, which is because their husband had been diagnosed, and I'm not going to go into that story, but but let's
Mm.
just say he's been diagnosed with Parkinson's. It's a Parkinsonian similar thing, and we talked about that at length. But the big thing that kept coming out was they had nowhere to go, they had nowhere to turn to, and they didn't know what to do. And
Yeah,
one thing, it reminded me of when I was first diagnosed and how I
yeah,
coped, because it's
yeah,
hard, eh?
yeah. And I had a relatively easy diagnosis period because my diagnosis came many years into the journey. So I kind of had that time to, even though I didn't know I had it, and I thought I didn't, I assumed I didn't have it. I think somewhere in my mental landscape, I was acclimatizing to it slowly,
Well, yeah.
because it didn't land very difficult. It didn't land very hard on me, the
Mm.
actual diagnosis. But having said that, after diagnosis, it slowly dawned on me over a period of about a year that how the enormity of this and
Yeah, and
the support I got from the community educator that we had at the time was gold. I don't know what I would have done without her.
yeah, I feel the
Um,
same way. I mean,
yeah,
and like you, I'd had symptoms. I mean, not for as long as you did, but I'd had symptoms and I'd looked them up online. I mean, because obviously, if you're an idiot,
you
you
do.
Google your symptoms, and I would not do
Good
that because it
doctoring.
would, yeah. But obviously, it did come up with. I did see the word Parkinson's, and I thought, don't be ridiculous. That's like for old people. Old men get Parkinson's. But no, I did too, unfortunately. Um, and I've just actually got a search engine up here, a well-known search engine, and I've put the word Parkinson's in, and
And what did you get?
it says, well, I've got the picture of our friend, the shuffling man,
Oh,
of
shuffling
course,
man.
the shuffling man, looking very depressed in his slippers and his brown
Oh,
trousers, and his naturally his grey hair, clearly an elderly man. And the questions, the first, people also, I should probably have done this in an incognito. Let's go incognito, because otherwise my things will be flawed. There you go. Look how scientific I'm being for you all.
you're skewing your algorithm.
I don't want to skew the algorithm. Parkinson's. And it says, oh yeah, still got the shuffling man.
Oh yes, he's ubiquitous, isn't he? He's
He's
everywhere.
everywhere. I've got neurological.org, which is an advert. Parkinson's disease is a brain disorder, shaking,
I love it.
stiffness, difficulty with balance and coordination.
I love it how
What?
they always start in with the heavy, hard stuff, like right from the get go. They always start with neurodegenerative,
Yeah. People
and you go,
also
oh, I
ask.
haven't got that.
Yeah. People also ask, what is the life expectancy of with someone with Parkinson's? Should we look at that?
No.
Oh, that's grim. Oh, it does say normal or near normal. However, a number of factors can shorten life expectancy. According to the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, patients usually live between 10 and 20 years after diagnosis.
Well, yeah, and yeah, what am I now? When do I start counting? Oh dear.
I'm not
I'm not
sure.
gonna do that. But you see what like people are looking for
What are the
information.
5 signs of Parkinson's?
Some people swear that the first thing that you get is smell going, but I have still got my sense of smell.
Yeah.
It's
What else?
different, isn't it?
What else does it say? It says, oh no, don't let's not go there. What stage does dementia start? and what are the end stages of Parkinson's? Because obviously the first thing I want to read about is the end stage of Parkinson's. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
grim.
Other than asking Google, there's also asking your friends, neighbors, anyone you know, and then getting, oh yeah, the stories about who people know and how bad they were. And
I'm not
yeah,
seeing much about. I'm not seeing people also ask, how can I improve my life, or how can I cope with it? What is the
yeah.
hardest part about having Parkinson's? The lack, this miserable website. Some researchers suggest around 40 to 50% of people with Parkinson's also experience depression. No, really?
Oh man, yeah. I think, yeah, and out where we live, it seems to be, you have to make a big noise to get any kind of support or action to happen around your particular issue. So yeah, I think that's why we started doing it as ourselves, isn't it, Kitty? Because
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much. I mean, it does look like there's some more positive things here from I am looking at the Parkinson's New Zealand website, which is much improved, which is really good to know. We have a nice picture
okay.
of the brain, which is really good.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is quite understanding what it is,
Yeah.
and it's quite good. Yeah, there's some nice things, which is good. It's important to talk to someone. Yeah, no, I would certainly, definitely agree with
Mm.
talking to somebody, but it's finding people, isn't it?
Yeah, and also finding people that can support you through the medical health stuff, because it can be quite bewildering, and knowing what to ask and how to get the where to go, what to do, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Don't you think, for the newly diagnosed?
yeah, it is really good to have somebody such as an educator or some assistance, and I think you get that mostly through your doctor and get somebody to come out and talk, because without that, it can seem fairly
Yeah.
miserable.
I mean,
Um,
at my health centre, you have to wait at least 6 weeks for an appointment, and they can't do urgent. Um,
well, that's a national crisis in New Zealand at
I
the
know
moment,
it
really,
is,
isn't
isn't
it?
it? It really is. I mean, and that a general practitioner who has not, I mean, they're not neurological experts, but and so it's very, very hard.
But how often do you see your neurologist at the hospital then?
I saw the neurologist, I think it was the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and before that it was a couple of years, I think, break. But have you been a bit more regularly?
Yeah, I mean, I go probably a couple of times a year,
Yeah.
and
So how do you get on the list to go that frequently?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I'm surprised that you said it was 2 years, because would
Yeah,
they
that
not
was
monitor?
partly because of COVID and all that, I think, and that
Oh,
took a while for me to get back in.
oh, well, you just got to say the word COVID, haven't you? And suddenly you're like in delay central.
I think I had a phone conversation, one with, like, not my regular doctor, but with somebody else, um, in the COVID lockdown sort of time. So it wasn't like 2 whole years without anybody.
No, because that does sound like a really long time. I go every 6 months, and I think that my my neurologist is pretty good. That to be honest, the people I am most honest with about my Parkinson's is my doctor, my neurologist, and I used to. Well, I'm quite honest on my blog, which is quite fine. No, somebody said to me, "Oh, I've read your blog," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." people you know to read it to. That's quite scary. But no, I am honest on there. That gives me an outlet, though. It gives me somewhere to
Yeah.
kind of talk about how I really feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to go see the GP recently. Um, I thought I'd had some. I was actually concerned I had heart issues.
Yeah.
It turns out that, stress really is very bad for you. Because I didn't have anything wrong with my heart. Well, hopefully, touch wood. I went to the hospital, as some people know, and I waited and waited for hours and hours, and then I was cleared from the hospital. Then a
Right.
couple of days later, I had an ambulance because I thought I was having a heart attack, but turns out I wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just neurotic, clearly. Um, and then they said, you need to go see your doctor. I waited 8 weeks to see my doctor, eight
Yeah.
weeks, and they told me I had costochondritis, which is when your chest cartilage and stuff gets separated or stiff. And basically, I've
Uh-huh.
made myself really, really sick by being stressed.
Did they draw a line between that and Parkinson's, or did they not think there was a connection?
Well, I did think it was quite funny because I didn't actually mention it until afterwards because he said, "Oh, you're quite stiff on this side," and I'm like, "Yeah, I will be, yeah, because I've got this thing." Um, but no, it was a bit more than that. It was, yeah, I basically just made myself really, really ill. You know, when people say stress is bad for you,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think like it can be quite hard to tell the causal thing because it's like, is this caused by Parkinson's or is this, separate from Parkinson's, or is there there's no doubt there is a loop in there that,
I th yeah, I think it's more just taking on too much,
yeah,
which
yeah,
brings us back to like doing too much, taking on everybody else's problems, trying to be there for everyone when you can't be,
yeah,
um, trying to, yeah, everything has just been far too hard.
yeah. And
Um,
the lack of somebody that being there for you, eh? Like somebody to be your support.
yeah, and there's just nobody there.
Yeah,
And then you have this. I mean, I don't know about you, but the longer you have it, it almost, because it does become just part of who you are, whether you like it or not. It's almost like a by the by. Everybody kind of forgets that. Yes, do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's been funny starting a new job and having to tell new people, and having them be like, oh, not really even kind of phased by
oh,
it,
but
and
you
I'm
look
kind of
totally fine.
no, no, it's more kind of like oh, and just like carrying on like there's like it's nothing, but I don't know if that's because people don't know any much about it, or if it's
Mm.
I mean, is that a good thing? They don't get sad.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because you don't want
Yeah,
people to be sad and fall
yeah,
over themselves, but you
yeah.
also want to kind of go, this is actually quite bad, but but it's good that you're not falling over yourself and kind of all sycophantic sympathy. I don't quite know, eh?
Yeah, yeah, it's a funny one. But I definitely hear what you're saying about the weight of the world being on you, and needing to take some time for yourself.
Yeah, but
Um,
the being that in itself is hard because we have bills to pay and we have,
yeah, more
stuff
money,
to
more
do.
problems.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's taking time for the little things. I've been trying to get out in the garden now. Spring's here, and trying to do some gardening or go for a walk, which is not
Yeah,
always easy when you've got Parkinson's, but still, yeah, I've been trying. Um, Getting more exercise, you know.
yeah. How's the
All
exercise going?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but exercise is good for you. It makes you feel a lot better.
It
No,
really does. I've been letting the exercise slide since I've started work.
Has that affected you in any way?
Yeah, I've started to lose strength and fitness and being a bit more stiff.
Yeah.
So I've got to kind of kick it into gear a bit more.
Because I've been really, really bad, and I realised that because I was sick, and I had a really bad flu, and I couldn't exercise for a couple of weeks, and suddenly I realised just how quickly you kind of regress, which is terrifying. It's so scary.
Yeah.
And people kind of
Really,
go, yeah, you just can't understand, how fast it happens. And that in itself is frightening.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what do we do about it?
Keep on moaning.
Keep on moaning. Yeah. So,
I think
yeah,
we're talking about it. That's the first thing. That's a good thing.
it is, and it's nice to have somebody to share it with.
Yeah.
I think that I hope that it in some way it's kind of useful, even if it's just, oh, it's those two women complaining about Parkinson's again. But but we do have some positive advice at some point. But you can't always be positive either. Yeah, so you do have to accept and admit sometimes it is not all good. And I would like to maybe I thought it might be nice to maybe go through some research at some point, maybe look at what's happening and breakthroughs, and so you can think of this as a reintroduction, if you like. What do you reckon?
I really don't know anything about what the latest breakthroughs are, but when I was looking at that stuff, I think I was really excited about stem cells at one point. But and there's people talking about ultrasound. That yeah, there's been
Parkie
talk
moment.
stuff and that you can get done, but that's in Australia. Last time I was around a support group, they were talking about hats you can wear that put light, infrared, into your brain. I don't know if that's
That
wacky.
sounds kind of
It does sound wacky.
Yeah.
And apart from that, it's just been exercise really and diet. I've been hearing a lot about the guy in Hamilton with the metabolic neurologist, who's all about it's what you eat.
There you go. Stem cell therapy may benefit Parkinson's disease by replacing and repairing damaged dopamine-producing nerve cells within the brain.
Because they can actually grow any specific neuron or type of cell that they want, which is pretty damn amazing. It's just a matter of getting it into the brain and having it live.
I mean, surely it can't be that difficult, right? I mean, yeah.
And I stupidly got a book out about DBS and to learn a bit more about that. And
about what?
DBS, deep brain stimulation.
Yeah, deep brain stimulation.
Actually, it was really funny. That's a little anecdote for you. We're having some building work done, and we were showing before it all started. We were showing the builder around our place and talking to him about my mobility needs, and he was a bit concerned. And I said, "Don't worry, they're just going to put electrical things in my brain, and it'll all be fine." And it's a bit flippant with me. The look on his face, poor man.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. DBS is kind of a pretty scary thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with the idea, but now I discovered they don't actually know how it works. I mean, they know how to do it. They just don't know a lot about why it works and what it's doing and all that kind of thing, which is very interesting to me.
What do you think? Do you think maybe next time we should do a deep dive into DBS, and we should maybe try and get someone to
find someone
who has
it.
Well, we
Yeah.
do know some people in the UK, if we could maybe hunt them down, eh? So,
I know there's some local people too who've had that done.
right,
Um,
okay. So next time we will do
shout
a
out, find
shout out to you people with DPS. Please come and educate us because we know nothing about it. If you would like to get in contact, you can contact us through Coast Access Radio, or you can contact me direct on kittyfitton.com. And all past podcast episodes are on there. And hopefully you enjoyed listening to this, and it wasn't just two crazy old birds having a chat.
but it is.
But it is. Yeah, thank you for listening, and that was Ordinary Life.
This program was made with assistance from New Zealand On Air for radio broadcast and through the accessmedia.nz website. Thank you, New Zealand On Air.